Liam Lawson woke up on Friday morning and thought, I'm just going to have a relaxing weekend at Zandvoort. Here on Sunday afternoon, he's about to overtake a Ferrari. He's going down the inside. Liam Lawson in his F1 debut for AlphaTauri gets past Charles Leclerc.
Well, Liam, welcome to Australia. It feels like at the moment all eyes are on the reserve drivers. But how do you stay physically fit through the year? How do you make sure that you're mentally ready to be parachuted into the car at any moment?
As reserve, we probably do more of the development work and more time in the simulator because the main drivers have a bit less time. And then on the race weekends, obviously we're there basically with the cans on and watching everything. So I'd say on the race weekends it's probably more of an opportunity for us to learn from the team. So yeah, it's really good. I'm in every single briefing and meeting and during the sessions basically I get to see everything.
So tell me about your personal relationship with Max. How closely have you worked with him? What does he say to you? What advice has he been able to give you? What have you learnt from him?
He's actually a really nice guy out of the car. I think he can come across quite aggressive on TV, but he's just obviously ultra competitive and he's a really, really good guy. And when I drove last year, he was one of the few guys that were, you know, really open to talk and give advice. And I remember getting ready for the Grand Prix in Zandvoort, and we sort of share like the energy station where the driver rooms are right next to each other, and he came in and he basically was like, you know, make sure you enjoy it, try and remember to enjoy it, and was really good basically and open to give advice. So it's cool to obviously be able to have that, but also to be able to learn from him. Obviously his driving is very, very good right now, and to see all that data and basically learn from that is pretty cool.
So take us back to your debut at Zandvoort last year. What happened on that day? What were the biggest emotions that have stayed with you since, you know, realising a dream, becoming a Formula One driver?
I think I always imagined what it would be like getting like told, you know, basically I imagined what it would be like finding out I was going to be a Formula One driver, and I always imagined it before the season, and I imagined having, you know, a few months to tell people and sort of get ready for it. So it was just that shock of basically realising in 12 hours that I was going to be driving.
So what was that conversation like? Who told you and what did they say to you?
It was a very short conversation with Helmut, and it was basically, I knew that they were deciding on what to do, because when the crash happens, we knew very quickly that Daniel's hand was broken, and that they were going to need a replacement. But there was a lot of discussion about, you know, what was going to be confirmed, and I basically knew that that meant they were deciding on who they were going to put in the car. So that's why I felt like I had to basically act with all that confidence. And when I knew they were deciding on that, I went and found Helmut, and I approached him, and he was mid-conversation with Franz, and he looked at me and said, "Are you ready?" And I said yes, and then he walked away, and that was basically pretty much the moment I knew I was driving.
Your family have been your biggest cheerleaders to get you to this point. What was the phone call like to Mum and Dad to tell them that what you'd been working so hard for was actually going to happen?
I didn't want them to read it in the media before you know, coming from me, so I immediately sent them and only them a text saying, I'm driving tomorrow, I love you guys, but I got a lot of work to do. And then shortly after that it was released, and I spoke to them after the race.
And what did they say to you?
They're pretty happy. It was, yeah.
I imagine there were some tears, were there?
Yeah, for sure, especially my mum. But it's a very big moment, obviously not just for me, but as you say, for my family as well. My parents, my whole family has sacrificed a lot through growing up, especially through go-kart racing as a kid. And over these last few years as well, for me to be able to do this, it's more than just my dream.
You did 5 races. Did you know you'd be doing 5 races when they put you in at Zandvoort, or was it a race by race? And what was your mindset going into it? Did it feel like it was potentially an audition for a full-time seat this year?
I definitely knew it was an audition. I think obviously we're judged, especially as a junior driver, we're judged on what we do in our junior championships alongside Formula One and Formula 2 and Super Formula. But at the end of the day, these teams only care about what we're going to do in a Formula 1 car, and I knew I would be judged on these races, and at the time it was race by race.
So what does the future look like for you? You're obviously here ready and waiting to take up a full-time seat in Formula 1. How do you go about trying to make that happen? Are you really committed to Red Bull and just waiting it out to see if there'll be an opportunity there, or is it about just trying to get any seat on the grid full-time next year?
I think obviously for me the dream is to drive with Red Bull. I've been with them now for more than 5 years, and obviously they're the most competitive team in Formula 1 right now. So if I could choose, I would drive for them. But obviously, you know, my dream is to be in Formula 1, and if it can't be with them, then obviously I'd try to make that happen with somebody else.
So will you get a chance to catch up with your childhood friend Matt Payne, supercars driver, while you're in Melbourne? Just tell me a little bit about your history with him.
Yeah, I mean, Matthew is arguably the reason I'm a racing driver. The passion for the sport and for cars in general, I was born with, but my family, you know, I didn't have a racing background, so it wasn't like my parents knew what to do with that. But I went to preschool with Matthew, so I've known him since I was 2 years old, and he started go-karts just when we moved to primary school, so he was probably 6 years old, and we went and watched him, and that was basically how we knew what the sport was, and that's how I got into it. So yeah, we grew up racing each other, every single category growing up in go-karts. We raced each other, went to primary school together, and it's obviously very cool because he's now sort of made it in supercars. I was in my hotel room in Abu Dhabi last year watching his race win in Adelaide. So it's pretty cool. He's doing very, very well, and I'll catch up with him for sure in Melbourne.
Liam, we really hope that opportunity comes for you to be on the grid full-time in Formula 1. Thanks for sitting down and having a chat with Fox.
Thank you very much.